So, what are your plans this weekend? I don't know about you, but I'm planning on stepping out to Horizon and More, located at 2818 Northeast Loop 410, San Antonio, Texas, where you must be 30 or older in order to get in. On Mondays, they got soul line dancing. Tuesday, live band karaoke. Wednesday, live jazz. Thursday, bike and slingshot nights. Of course, it's ladies' night too. Friday, some of the best bands in San Antonio will be there. Saturday, a Show Enough Horizon Showdown. On the first and third Sunday, Spades and Bone Tournament. Check out the drink specials and don't forget to ask for a Toya signature drink. At Horizon and More, you could book your next birthday party, event, or special occasion. Horizon and More is a place where the grown and mature come to play. Open 7 days a week. Yeah, that's our sponsor, Horizon More. Thank you, Toya, for sponsoring the show. And tonight at Horizon More, what did she call it? I gotta make sure I get this right. She called it Tailor Made Tuesday Live Band Karaoke, kicking off at 8 o'clock. I had some people that went there, they didn't get home to 1 and 2 in the morning. And this is during the week. I don't do that. I stay put. Good morning, Chef Kim. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, my video went
Yeah,
out.
I was like, where'd you go?
I just disappeared on people. Every once in a while, my camera wants to mess with me. But while we're getting that together, so how you been doing since the last time I spoke with you? Which was
I have been really blessed. Business has been really good. Life is good. I really don't have any complaints.
yeah, you did you hear me talking about I can never get a sample of your food every time something's going on, I'm never around.
We just had, and you missed a wonderful dinner that we had at the Brooks's home, and oh my God, it was wonderful. And you know what? The last time I had some food, I had hit up Sandra, but she had forgot. So I know, I know I'm gonna have to make another round.
But that's all right. That's all right. We're good. I'm gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna hold you.
I promise.
So the last time I talked to you, I mean the very first time, this is about your what, third or fourth time on the show?
I think so. I think it's like the third time on the show. Thank you again for having me.
It was funny the first time around, we were missing each other. We had to reschedule. And then finally I got her on and I was like, oh and ah. I said, not only can she cook, who could sit down and have somebody cook dinner for you that looks that beautiful as you?
Oh, thank
That
you.
that is a package deal. You don't know whether if you want to eat or sit back and just stare at you.
It's okay. The staring costs extra, but it's all right.
Oh,
Bring it.
I like that comeback. That was a great comeback. I love it. I love it. That's worth more than a tip.
Thank you so much.
So you have been doing a lot. Let's do a Reader Digest version. Let's rewind a little bit and just tell us a little bit um the process you went through moving to San Antonio and some of the trials and tribulations, because I want everybody to know that story because you just showed up and showed out.
Oh my gosh. It has been an interesting 3 years. I moved here at the height of the pandemic. So I moved here in March of 2020, and then I bought my house in May of 2020. And I just continued with my business, and I saw that they needed a market for healthy, accessible food like meal prep. So I went on ahead and I tapped into that market. And a lot of my clientele at first were people who were looking for food to eat delivered to them because they didn't want to go out. We were on lockdown. A lot of things were unavailable to them. So I was able to provide nutritious, healthy, fresh made foods that all you had to do is just pop it in the microwave and then, just eat and go. And then after that, it started turning into, I expanded on my catering department. So then we started doing a lot of caterings. Our first catering that we had was in Austin, which was really interesting. And then we just started doing weddings and corporate events. And then we started doing private events and private dinners. And, for the last 3 years, I've just buckled in and kind of focused on my business. And now we are, other than being incorporated, I'm contracted with 3 different wedding venues. I have 10 different employees under me. Um, We've been doing a lot of pop-up shows, a lot of open houses. We've done some wedding fairs. We actually have one coming up. We will be at the Texas Weddings Extravaganza on June 11th at the Henry Gonzalez Convention Center. So I'm actually excited for that. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. They're estimating like 800 to 1,700 people to show up. So my team and I, we will be there. We'll be in the booth right next to Southern Gentleman, a DJ company that's out of Converse. So we'll be there along with all the other vendors. And it's just been, I feel God's hand in everything, like every time I have something coming up or I'm just not sure, I just sit there and I pray about it. And then, God's just like, don't worry, you got this. And every opportunity that I've had has just been another level to elevate the business. And I'm just very, very grateful. I still do a lot of my bulk meal prep for my clients, my loyal customers, and I love them. But I've realized that a lot of things I like to do is catering and private dinners now. So that seems to be more opportunistic for me at this point in time.
Did you ever think after the pandemic that this will come up? It seems like you started at the right time, at the worst moment, at the right time.
I would say that moving here during the pandemic has been very advantageous for me. A lot of restaurants were closing down. Like I said, a lot of people just didn't want to go outside. And, many people who don't know how to cook for themselves or don't know what to cook, they found my company to be just really, really beneficial for them because I was able to offer food and it was just fresh food. And then I customized my meal plan. So it's not just healthy food. I have a lot of clients who are either vegetarian or like Dr. Veronica Brooks, the one who I had the private dinner with on the 6th. She's a pescatarian. So I've tailored her meal prep specifically for her. And then I have people who just want to eat. So then I just have like regular meals, like you can have meatloaf and mashed potatoes. And it's just really good. And I started working with a lot of local farmers now. So I get a lot of fresh produce when I go to the farmers markets. And it's small businesses helping small businesses that I feel really benefits me and where I'm trying to go. And then it's just like everybody's just getting a piece of the pie.
Yeah. So walk us through the process for meal prep. I'm gonna use myself as an example. So if I call on you and tell you I'm interested in your meal prep, I'm type 2 diabetes. So if I came to you, what would be the first initial steps that you would take?
Well, the first thing I would ask you is if you had any food allergies. And I would ask you what kind of foods you like, what kind of foods do you prefer to eat, what is your current diet, like what do you currently eat on a regular? And then I would ask you how many meals you want for the week. I have 3 different meal prep bundle packages. I have a silver one, a gold one, and a platinum. So you could do 10, 15, or 20 meals. The most popular one that I've been getting and requested was the 20 meals. So with 20 meals, you get 4 different menu options. So you can choose, however you want to do it. You can get them all dinners or all lunches or whatever. And then I tell people to go onto my website, chef2tablellc.com. And from there, you can see all the different types of meals that I offer. And then you can pick and choose. I have some clients where they just were like, I kind of just want to have this or that, so then I'll just tailor. I'm like, okay, I can do this and this. But for you, Ron, I'd be like, well, since you're a type 2 diabetic, that means we'd have to stay away from carbs and sugars. So for you, I would just do salmon with asparagus with a nice cream pesto sauce. And then for the morning, I would probably do like an egg bites with some vegetables and some cheese and probably like a carb, maybe like some bacon or something, or I would probably do like some sausage or something like that. You can have a little bit of fruit, but not necessarily too much. I would recommend more like a grapefruit or something like that. Something real low carb. So we would probably stay away from apples and rice. Sweet potato in small amounts is fine for you because you do need to have carbs for energy. You just want to be sure on your portion sizes. And then low fat chicken with probably some mashed cauliflower with some sauteed broccoli or something like that. Just something that will fill you up, but it's going to be like low caloric, low carb, and high in protein.
You sound like my doctor, my nutritionist who said that, which I did switch over because when I went my last visit, I dropped 22 pounds.
Oh,
I thought that was great, but I still got a ways to go. But food that people go frown at, when you mentioned cauliflower, I just said, oh, cauliflower, but I like broccoli. I don't,
yes.
I like asparagus. I like the things that you said, but what is it about cauliflower that sends up a red flag to everybody?
I think because when people associate with cauliflower, they think cauliflower is just really bland and you can only have it steamed and there's really no interesting way to do it. But the way I cook cauliflower in two different ways. The most popular way that I've been doing it that my customers really like is I'll cut it up and then I'll put it like toss it in some olive oil and some salt and pepper and then I'll roast it. So when you roast cauliflower, it cooks it all the way, but it also gives it like a little bit of char and a little bit of texture with the crunch from the oven or the air fryer, depending on what I'm doing that time. And then another thing I'll do is I will treat it like potatoes and I'll make mashed cauliflower. And I usually pair that with my turkey meatloaf. And then I'll make this really nice brown gravy that goes on top of it with garlic and herbs. And then when you eat it together, it's almost as if like you couldn't tell it was cauliflower because of the texture. And then it just, you have to season your vegetables. A lot of people, they just think that if you steam it, or I hate when people put cheese on their broccoli. I've seen people put cheese and melted
Yeah.
cheese on their cauliflower and treat it like broccoli. And I'm just like, why even eat the vegetable? Just squeeze the cheese in your mouth.
Well, you're right. I love my broccoli on the grill. I
Oh,
love that taste of it on the grill, fresh broccoli and a little bit of olive oil on it. And 9 times out of 10, I put no seasoning on it because I get that smoke taste in there.
mm-hmm.
And that's what I like. I'll sit down and I can eat broccoli and asparagus all day. And people look at me. But it's one thing that I could never stomach, and that's Brussels sprouts.
You don't like Brussels sprouts?
When I was growing up, that's all we had. I told myself when I get older, there's two things I will never eat. That's Brussels sprouts and liver.
Ooh, okay. I'm with you on the liver. When I was when I was pregnant with my kid, my father-in-law, he was trying to get me to eat liver and onions. He's like, it's really, really good for the kid. Now, we were in Miami at the time, and this restaurant, they had offered fried liver and onions. Now, when it came out, it had looked really good. It smelled really good, and I was really hungry. And then I bit into it, and it was just the metallic flavor and the texture, and I just couldn't. So I had a client one time, they said, do you make liver and onions? I said, I do not. I
Yeah.
do not eat it, so therefore I can't cook it for you because I don't know what it's supposed to taste like, and it's just something I can't do. But Brussels sprouts, they are so good. Look, so if you like cook some bacon or some sausage with some Brussels sprouts with a little bit of onion and some garlic, and then you half the Brussels sprouts in half, and then if you blanch them off beforehand, so that way they have like they're more cooked, and then you put them in the skillet with the bacon fat and the onions, and probably add some maple syrup along with some salt and pepper, and then you toss it around. I promise you, they're really, really good. That's how I make my Brussels sprouts for my kid, and she loves it.
Oh, I had to think about that
They're
one.
just like little cabbages.
I know. I'm gonna go back to the liver because I remember in the kitchen. I was the first grandson, and I used to watch my grandmother cook all the time. And I got the knack for cooking. She would say, "This is what you do: you brown it on both sides real good, and then you cut your onions up, pour a little water in it. It's just in a cast iron skillet.
Ooh, yes.
You put a top over it and let it cook." I said, "Well, where'd the gravy come from?" She said, "That's the unique thing about it. The crust that's on there will come off and make the gravy, and then
Mm-hmm.
and then you get a little bit of a couple of teaspoons of flour in a cup and stir it real good and pour it
Yes.
there to thicken it up. I don't know all that. It smells good, but I bit into it. I just can't eat this.
Yeah.
It's just
The
something about
process,
it.
yeah, the process of making it sounds good, and it would be the same if you were making a chicken fried steak.
Yeah.
And it just tastes like you're biting into a penny. And I just, it's like you just take a roll of coins and you just lick it. And it's just not the same. It's just not tasty. No matter how you season it, it's just not good for me. It's not palatable.
I never heard it put like that, like eating coins, but only Chef Kim will come up with that technique. So, preparing your meal. I know you said you team up with Farmer Market, so your week starts off. So, how does Chef Kim prepare things starting off the week on what she's got to prepare for people? Take us how, okay, you get an order in, you probably got more than one order, and you being there cooking and everything. Do you go out and buy everything fresh, or how do you do?
So I have my clients, I usually ask them to put their order in the Thursday or the Friday before the week of delivery. So I don't make anything or I don't buy anything until they order. And so most of my delivery days, depending on how many clients I have, if I have like 2 or 3 clients, I can knock out the cooking on Monday and then I'll deliver everything on Tuesday. And then if it's more than that, then I'll just space it out. Like Tuesdays and Thursdays would be delivery days. So normally I'll go and do all of my shopping on Monday, and then I'll just be like, okay, this client needs this. So then I'll go to the store and I'll buy everything. And then I'll go to the commercial kitchen and then I'll cook everything and then I'll deliver it. So that's usually how it works. And then I have a lot of clients, if I know they want specialty items, like, or if they have a different custom menu, I'll go to the farmer's market over the weekend and see what kind of items and produce that they have. And then I'll purchase it there. And then that way it's very nice and fresh when I have to cook it. But yeah, everything is fresh. Nothing is frozen. Even the vegetables, everything is fresh. I cut it myself. Um, if people want salmon, like Dr. Veronica Brooks for her dinner, she wanted salmon. I think it was like 18 or 20 people. So I'll go to the meat market and I'll buy the whole fillets of salmon and then I'll fabricate it myself and I'll take the skin off and then I'll portion and section it out and then I'll cook it off like that. I just feel like fresh is best. And I just really don't like the way that frozen vegetables or frozen fish or anything like that tastes.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I mean, I remember years ago I had a garden and I actually grew some fresh pinto beans.
Ooh,
And when I did that, we get them dry in the store. We go through the process of cooking, but these are already moist. You gotta cook that long. The taste of fresh pinto beans will knock people's socks off.
really?
It is such I can't describe the taste, but it wasn't dried. It was cooked fresh like that. And I said, I gotta do that again. I gotta grow me a garden again because it came out real. I made my I grew some jalapenos, tomatoes, and all that stuff. Make my own pickled de gallo, and it was just fresh. It was different. There was nothing from the store. It was fresh. I grew that. And I gotta get back into that. I told myself I've been telling myself that for 2 years and still haven't picked up a shovel yet.
So I have my own garden going. I've been growing since probably much since I've gotten here. I replenish it every year in season, usually like around the beginning of March or the end of March. But this year I have 3 or 4 different tomatoes growing. I have some Calabasas squash. I got some rainbow chard from the farmer's market. I have some, let's see, I have jalapenos growing. I have cilantro going. I'm growing cabbage. I'm growing lettuce. I have kale going. I have a couple lemon trees. I have a peach tree going. I also have a different type of romaine lettuces that are coming out. I have Brussels
Mhm.
sprouts. I have broccoli going. And, I grow all of those in these pots. They're like breathable fabric, foldable black pots that I got. And they're just like bags and they're like cloth bags, but they're breathable because a lot of people think that if you grow something in like a plastic pot, the roots can't breathe. and the roots need to be able to breathe in order to get all that oxygen. And then you have to have good soil. So I don't ever put anything in the dirt because something about Texas and everything is on rocks. So every time I try to plant something in the ground, I run into some rocks. And I'm just like, this is way too this is way too much work. So I grow everything in these pots that are on my back patio. And they get just enough sun. Thank God it's been raining, so it saves me and
Yeah.
my water bill, you know. And and then you take so much more pride when you're eating something that you grew yourself. And obviously it tastes better. Like the first time I had a fresh tomato, I was like, so this is what it's supposed to taste like, and it tastes better. And you just never know what food is supposed to taste like unless you picked it fresh off the tree or fresh off the vine. And I just love it. And I encourage everybody to do it, especially with the way that the supermarkets are going and everything being GMO and chemically induced and everything like that.
Yeah.
And the prices of groceries. I highly recommend everyone start growing their own food.
You said a mouthful right there. I don't get it. We use the pandemic as the excuse for raising prices. Now they're raising prices because they can. It's demand. Well, produce more. You
Right.
can. So right now, if you go in the grocery stores now, only one grocery store, um, they act like there's a limited things on stuff and the shelves are not stocked like they used to be. And it's a ploy. I know it is. It makes it look empty and this and that and all that. And that's what they're doing. And they're making the money that way.
They were saying when the price of eggs were so high and everybody was, they're like, I don't understand. Why is it like $12 for like a dozen of eggs or $8 or $10 or whatever? What's interesting is that the only eggs that were expensive were the bleached white eggs. I bought the brown eggs because they're cheaper.
Yeah.
And they were like organic brown eggs that were cheaper. So I've stayed buying those. And that's a whole that's a whole different, theory that I have in my mind. But they were trying to blame it on the avian flu. They were like, oh, well, there's an avian flu, and a lot of the birds and the turkeys and the chickens had, died and they were getting sick. So it tainted the supply of the eggs. So that's why we had to raise the prices. And then once everybody started complaining about the price of eggs, and once everybody stopped buying the eggs because of the price, you notice that the price of the eggs went down.
A lot.
A lot. They went back
Yeah.
to almost their regular prices.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes to show that we as the consumers, we can control the market. As long as we, if we don't feel like, hey, you know what, I don't want to pay for that price. And if you stop buying it, they're going to accommodate the price because they need to get that product off the shelf, because otherwise they're wasting money and they're throwing away, dollars on their inventory. So people just have to be a little bit more mindful about the impact that they have on prices. Now, if people are like, oh, $10 for a dozen of eggs and nobody complained and everybody was okay with the $10 eggs, it would have been $12 next year. Because what they
Yep.
do is they slowly condition the consumers to feel like the price hack and the inflation and the price gouging is normal when it's not normal, because it doesn't make any sense, because it doesn't cost you any more to produce the eggs than it did a couple years ago. And people are like, oh, well, people don't want to work and people don't want to farm. Okay, my best friend, her and her husband, they have chickens in their backyard. They get their eggs fresh.
There you go.
So yeah, all year round. And then they have I'm looking into they have a grant right now for you to build. I forgot what the name of it is, but it's like a tunnel grant where you can have like this overhead greenhouse on your property where they'll pay for you to have it, for the material, and you can either outsource it for someone to build it or you can build it yourself. But it's pretty much an opportunity for you to be your own farmer. So I'm looking into that grant because I'm just like, I would love to have a greenhouse and be able to offer my clients fresh homegrown food, vegetables. Maybe I won't kill no chickens, but fresh egg, fresh eggs and things like that. So there's always opportunity where there is a shortage of supply,
Yeah.
and people just have to tap into it, because if you normalize the craziness, it's only going to get worse.
All right, I'm gonna hit you up with a question.
Okay,
You ready?
I'm ready.
I got the answer. I'm gonna see if you're gonna answer it.
Okay.
But so you're baking a cake, you get everything together, and you find out you have no eggs. What can you use for a substitute for that?
Oh man. Okay. So I am not a baker. I would tell all of my clients, they say, oh, well,
Oh,
what can you use? So, but I did, I will say to my best knowledge, and if my friend who's a baker, if he's listening right now, he's probably so upset. I would say I would use oil or condensed milk as the binding agent because that's all eggs are. It's just the leavening agent in it. Now, am I wrong?
well, I haven't heard that before, but I have heard that people will use applesauce.
Applesauce. I think I've heard that one too. I
Yeah,
forgot about that one. And it comes out a little bit more moist than it would with the eggs because the
right.
eggs kind of make it dense.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you made with the applesauce?
I did try it to see if it worked, though I'm not gonna lie to you. It took a little longer to bake,
Yes.
but after it was said and done, it wasn't as dense, but it was edible. Put it that way. It was edible. The kids ate it. They didn't understand because I felt like I didn't want to go to the store because I was
Right.
already in, being a single parent back then, I just said, well, they just gonna get this like it is. And I judged by looking at their face to see how it was. Apparently the next day it was all gone. So
It wasn't that bad.
it wasn't that bad.
And
Now,
if the kids like it, it's a win.
yeah, and it's still living.
That's always a plus.
they
That's always a plus.
they're still hanging in there. So with you with preparing meals, what is your biggest nightmare when you preparing meals and you forget something, and how do you accommodate that fixing part of it? Have you ever run across a time where, oh man, I forgot to get this and this some type of ingredient? I don't want to say you forgot the broccoli. I want to say you forgot some type of spices and stuff to do it with. What do you do when that hits?
Okay, so there was a time when I was making stuffed spaghetti squash, and I had cooked all the other meals, and I had plated them and everything and put them in their containers, and I forgot the gosh darn spaghetti squash. So what I did, I was like, I just went back to the store. Honestly, I am so prepared with my grocery list. I prepare my grocery list as soon as they put the orders in. Within that day, I'm writing down how many of each thing do I need. Now, there's been some times when I'm like, okay, I don't have any heavy cream. And then I'll just add I use almond milk. So I'll use like some almond milk with maybe a little bit of cornstarch slurry to kind of thicken it up because that's all heavy cream is. It's just the thickening agent and everything. And that's usually what I do. But most of the time, I don't really forget any ingredients and stuff like that. And then since I don't really bake, I don't have that problem. I'll have clients live like, oh, can you make a cake? And I'm like, I can get you a cake. I know where to get a cake from.
Yeah.
I can get you whatever you need. But I burn drop cookies. So, I'm really good at cornbread though.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just
uh,
follow the instructions.
do you make greens?
I do. You know what? I just made greens last week. So I was like, oh man, I was like, I haven't had greens in a long time. And anybody will ask you, my best friend, she requests greens for Thanksgiving every year, whether we're having Thanksgiving or together or not. She always requests it. So I always make her a fresh batch for her and her family. I make very delicious greens. I use smoked turkey legs. And I start off with my smoked turkey legs and I season the water, and then I buy fresh greens and I clean them, and then I chiffonade, and then I just put them in the pot with maybe some bell peppers, like some green bell peppers and some onions, maybe some red bell peppers depending. And then if I'm making the pot for myself, I'll add some crushed red chili flakes, depending, but my daughter doesn't like spicy foods, so I'll just add it to my own bowl. But yeah, I definitely make some collard greens. Last night I had leftovers. I had baked some chicken, and I had rice with some collard greens, and a little bit of cornbread. And that Jiffy honey cornbread went perfectly with it.
There you go. There you go. So let me ask you this question. You cook all the time for everybody. You eat all that food all the time. When does Chef Kim goes out to a restaurant and enjoy herself with a meal without cooking?
I go out a lot to restaurants. Most of the time, I'm very particular on where we go. So when we do go out to restaurants, we usually go to Whiskey Cake, um, you know, uh, or Papa Do's, or something really nice. There's a couple of Indian restaurants that I'll go to. My favorite recently has been Biryani Pot because their food is just, I love that spicy food. So I'll go and I'll pick up some stuff from there. But most of the time, I usually frequent the same restaurants that I know is going to be consistently good because I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want to pay money
Well,
to go to a restaurant to be disappointed when I could have saved money and cooked it myself at the house. Um, but it just really depends. It just really depends. So what's your favorite restaurant at this moment?
at this moment, my house,
See, I'm the same way.
my house. Growing up, the kids will know because they'll wake up in the morning and they smell vinegar. And when they smell
Ooh,
vinegar, they know that dad's going to do some barbecue.
ooh,
I make my homemade barbecue sauce and stuff, and I'll throw some ribs, chicken, and I throw a variety of everything on the grill because my philosophy is this on my smoker is I'm not gonna fire that smoker up for one hamburger.
right, or hot dogs.
Right. I'm gonna fire it up for everything. And then that's when I portion the meals and put them in the freezer. And then if they say they want this, I go get out and pop it in because I still do that to this day. I just don't do one type of meat. I do several type of meat. And,
Hmm.
that's what I like doing. But other than that, my favorite go-to restaurant, it is Papados.
Yes,
It is Papados because it's something about I always get the blackened catfish with red
yes.
beans and rice. I gotta have my red beans and rice.
Yes,
So,
definitely. I love that and their gumbo
yeah,
and their crab cakes. Their crab cakes are always the starter for me. Um, and then I think they had like the Lake Pontchartrain snapper. I
yes.
think that one too. Oh, I love that one too with the crawfish sauce on top of it. That was absolutely delicious. But it's funny that you mentioned barbecue for Mother's Day weekend. I went down to my dad's house and he was smoking some he has a barbecue company, so he does barbecue, and he had smoked two, wraps of ribs and everything, and just cut them St. Louis style, and the tips were delicious, and he makes his own barbecue sauce as well, and I made some mashed potatoes and we had some coleslaw, just something really simple, but it's something about home cooked food that gives you a comfort that you're just not going to find anywhere else. And for me, while the restaurants were all packed and stuff for Mother's Day, I had a wonderful time at my dad's house, just watching old movies and sitting here eating some smoked ribs and just nice and quiet and peaceful and just being surrounded by family. It was the perfect Mother's Day.
I got a question for you. Have you ever cooked something that you never cooked before? And let's say you went to go taste it and you went, oh, wow, where has this been my whole life? You ever have those aha moments?
I'm trying to think. I think one time when I made um duck-filled tortellini. So I had made my pot. It's such a process. If you've never made your own pasta, it is like an all-day process for the most part. You have to make the dough, then you have to roll it out. And for this duck, it was like a long time ago when I was still in Seattle, and I got this duck from this local farmer, and she bred, ducks and everything for the market. And I got it, and I slow roasted it for about 8 to 10 hours. I put it on very, very low heat with a bunch of herbs and some mirepoix. And I slow roasted it until it was really nice and tender and it fell off the bone. And then I shredded it up and I added it with a little bit of goat cheese, like a little bit of goat cheese and some chives. And I put a little bit in some tortellini and I blanched it off and I think I served it with like a brown butter sage sauce. And it was so fantastic. Even though it took all day long and it took me like 5 minutes to eat it, it was the most fantastic ravioli tortellini I have ever had. And it was just delicious. And I'm like, man, and when I get the time, it's more like a holiday meal. When I get the time, I'm definitely gonna make that again. And then let's see, for Easter, I did a leg of lamb.
Mm.
So for Easter, I did a leg of lamb, and I had never made a leg of lamb before because and I was just like, I always go to the restaurants to eat it because I'm just like, oh no, I think that's gonna be, too much work or something, because lamb is very temperamental. It has to be at the right temperature. Because if it's too hot, if you cook it for too long, it's gonna be tough. If you undercook it, it's gonna be tough. So you have to hit it right at that 145 degrees. So I had did a lot of research online and looked at a lot of different recipes, and then I came up with my own rub for the leg of lamb. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. So while I'm doing the leg of lamb, I'm writing down all the steps and all the ingredients that I use, and it was phenomenal. It was absolutely delicious. And it was actually one of the dishes that I had passed out to a couple of the wedding venues, when I went and did my interviews with them. And that was the dish that actually got me my contracts.
Wow.
Yeah.
See how
It
that
was,
happens?
yeah, and it was my first time cooking it. And they were like, yeah, we would love to have you as our preferred caterer. So, and it was just by chance. And that was a very proud moment for me. That was definitely a feather in my cap.
Wow. I think one of my moments was I got some steak, sirloin, and I had
Mhm.
to grind it up for me. Not too coarse, not too fine. I had them do all that. So I came up with a project in my head. I'm gonna make Salisbury steak like patties. So what I did, I got the ingredients, my seasoning, I put it all together, which I turned around and found out the seasoning I was putting in there was like pot roast seasoning.
Ooh.
So I did that, made the patties, threw it on the grill to get that smoke taste. Then I turned around and made gravy and put it in the bowl with gravy on it and stuck it in the oven for about an hour. And at this time, I'm making my macaroni and cheese and everything else. The kids come in and say, "What is that cook?" I said, "Boy, get out that oven." And I said, "This is something new." They go, "There you go, experiment on us again." So when they ate it, they were shocked, and I was surprised too. It came out so good.
I bet.
That's something different. But one thing I did trick my boys on, they told me at a younger age they did not like fish. They couldn't stand fish. So what I
Mm.
do, I went and got fish and I cut it down in like little nuggets and stuff and all that stuff. And then I turned around instead of using cornmeal, I fried it in flour.
Yep.
And they ate it. After the third time, I said, I don't like it. I said, the past 3 times y'all ate fish. Dad, you can't
Hmm.
do that to us. You didn't didn't tell the difference.
Yes. It
So
was and my kid, she loves fish. So like every time I'm saying, we'll make some fish. I think the first time I tried to make some fish, I was like, she's gonna like it because most kids, they don't like fish.
yeah.
And then when I made it for her, she ended up eating like 3 fillets. So every time I make fish, I have to like she's 6 years old. Every time I make fish, I have to damn near cook the whole fillet so that so that she has enough. But you definitely have to trick them, and it's kids have to understand that's part of the price of being the kid. You're the guinea pig. My kid is my guinea pig all the time, and I'm always like, hey, what do you think about this or something? And she'll cook and she'll tell me, she'll be like, Mommy, I didn't like that, or Mommy, that was too spicy or something. So then I always take it into consideration because kids will tell you the truth no matter what. It's the
I,
adults that lie into you.
mm, hey,
So if my daughter tells me something, I know that's the truth.
I was somewhere and this guy was cooking and everything, and he said, "I want y'all honest truth in there." This happened years ago in some markets, and so he was preparing all these meals, becoming a chef at the time. He invited us over to taste the food and all that, and every time he brought something new, everybody said, "That's all right, that's okay." He just looked and said, "Nothing's bad." But boy,
Right.
when he asked me, I was like a little kid. I told him the truth. I said, "Actually, that last thing you prepared, it tastes like crap."
Right.
And I told him. And then some of the other meals, I said, "This was good. This was good. You could have used more of this in there, more of that in there." And I would just tell them all that stuff. And he said, he looked at everybody else. "How come y'all can be honest like this man, right?" He didn't know me. I didn't know him either. He was
Right.
honest about everything. And y'all just said everything's good. Because if he goes by what they say and bring that meal out in public and everybody go blah, you know,
He's
that's
gonna feel bad.
that's an insult to the chef.
Hmm.
So
Um, Another person who I usually, if I'm doing a test run on a new recipe, I get my dad.
mhm,
My dad is the most, honest, crucial person I've ever met. And he'll be like, I like this, but I think it needs some of this, or I wouldn't add that, or I didn't like that, So if I have something that I'm getting ready to put out in public, I'm like, hey, Dad, can you come over? Because I'm trying this new dish or whatever, and I want you to try it. And he'll come and he'll tell me the truth. And, since he's had his own food business for like the last 20 years, I take his advice and, his uh, critique to heart.
yeah.
But it's definitely, and I wish a lot more people were a lot more honest like children, because not just with the food but just in life period, because I want my friends to be honest with me. I don't want you around if you're just going to be a yes man, because you're not really my friend, you're just trying to keep the peace. Sometimes you need someone to just bring some truth, some hard truth to you, so that way you can get better, because if you don't know the truth about yourself, you're never going to grow.
Right. It was a restaurant over there. I forget the name of it. I ordered meatloaf. Everybody can't make meatloaf. I ordered
Right.
meatloaf and I tasted. I put my plate down and the way it came over was wrong. I said, "I'll be honest with you, this is the worst meatloaf I ever tasted in my whole life. I can't eat this." He looked at me and said, "Well, it's our go-to. If maybe for you it's go-to, but for me, it needs to go."
Right.
So I didn't eat it. I ordered anything else, and I was seeing if they're going to charge me for it, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
They charged me because I didn't eat it. Well, I quickly went out and word of mouth spread that don't eat that meatloaf there. Don't go to that place because they know when that travels, that's it.
Oh
But
yeah.
the manager didn't come out say anything. The waiter didn't get anybody. The manager should have came out and said something, and they didn't. So I said, "Well, I'm blackballing this place. I'm never going back to this place again."
And that is so hard, especially with today's market, because a lot of businesses are trying to survive because they have their competition are slashing prices. There's a lot of competition out there when it comes to retail and restaurants and everything. The least they could have done was just comp you for your meal. But the manager definitely should have came out. And your biggest marketing is going to be word of mouth. And a lot of people, they don't understand that. One person has a bad experience, then they tell someone and they tell someone. So it's best to always put your best foot forward every single time. What was it? Was the meatloaf bland? Did it fall apart texturally? Was it just not good?
The taste was horrible.
Ugh.
I'm gonna let you know. I did not like the texture and the taste of it at all. One bite, and that was it. And I just said no, I can't eat this. Another thing that we find out that some restaurants do, they oversalt things.
Yes.
I went somewhere one time before, and it was in it was in Uvalde when I was working for Direct TV. I went to a restaurant there, and that food came out too salty. I can't. I'm sorry. I tasted it, it was way too salty.
Right.
Why is salt the go-to ingredient that people put in food? Things will make it taste better.
I don't know. It's almost as bad as lemon pepper. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
everyone just douses everything with lemon pepper, and it was lemon pepper this, lemon pepper that. And it's just like, it's overrated. But I think people who over salt things, they don't know any other seasoning. Or a lot of people, they'll use these spices or these spice combinations like these Creole seasonings or these all-purpose seasonings or like Lawry's. Growing up, we ate a lot of Lawry's seasoning, and it's salty. And the older that I got, I was like, God, I grew up on this, and I don't have high blood pressure,
Yeah.
because a lot of these seasonings and prepared seasonings that people are already using, they have a high sodium, high salt content, so I found this lemon pepper that was salt free. I found salt free lemon pepper, and I add a little pinch of sugar to my lemon pepper. Like if I'm doing lemon pepper chicken wings or, you know, um, lemon pepper fish or whatever like that, I always add a little bit of sugar because it cuts down on the bite of the acidity of the lemons. And with salt, especially if you're serving to the public in a restaurant, or a food service environment, you definitely want to, it's best to under salt or under season than it is to over season, because the customer and the client, they can always add their own salt with the table seasoning or something like that.
Yeah.
But once you add too much salt, you can't take it away. Like this one time I was making this soup and I was distracted. I think I had a whole bunch of other stuff, but this was just for the family, so it was fine. But I had made this soup one time and I was distracted doing other things, and I had put too much salt in it. And I was like, oh my God, this is too salty. And I learned that if you put like a peel a raw potato and you put
Right.
it in a dish, it absorbs all the salt. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then when I tried it, I was like, oh my God, I was actually, I was very impressed and very surprised. I
Hmm.
never had that problem again, but it was just fascinating how science works, and I was, because most of the time you hear about these life hacks and stuff like that, and you're just like, oh God, what, this BS or something. But it was actually very true, and it was a lifesaver because we were we were able to eat the soup.
That is true. I learned that young in age. One of my siblings made some chili and it was too salty. My mom came out and said, "We can't eat this too salty." She went in there and did a couple potatoes and put it in there and said, "Give it a few, it'd be all right." And I'll
Yep.
eat if it wasn't all right.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. And I was just like, oh man, like I saw this one hack with rice. We're always eating rice and stuff, and with the rice cooker. One time I had made some white rice, but I had added a little bit too much water. I was trying to teach my daughter how to make the rice with the rice cooker, and she had added a little bit too much water. And I said, well, just put a slice of bread in there and put a
Yes.
slice of bread on the top, and it absorbed all that extra moisture out. Because we don't throw food away. We don't waste food. You don't fix it. If the rice had too much water, and if we didn't have the bread or whatever like that, we would cook the rice off first, and the rice would end up being fried rice with some chicken and some vegetables in it or something like that. You know, and a lot of the things that I hear people nowadays, they're talking about, besides the cost of food, is a lot of people, they're trying to learn how to make their food stretch, like how to make their food
Yes.
budget stretch and stuff like that. And instead of like, growing up, if my grandma, if she made spaghetti on Monday, you would have spaghetti on Monday and Tuesday. And then you would have then it would be baked spaghetti Wednesday and Thursday, and you just have to learn how to repurpose the dish, because there was no such thing as wasted food in my house growing up. Everything turned into something else.
Yeah. I remember one time kids baked cookies and they came out a little hard. So
Yeah.
I didn't know this trick, but they put a slice of bread in a Ziploc bag with it overnight and a cookie softened up.
Oh, I didn't hear
Not,
about that.
I did not know that. I said, "You're kidding me. You could break your tooth on Monday and you eat it on Tuesday."
That's a good trick. I've never heard of that one
Yeah,
either.
it's all these things that growing up in the kitchen, it really taught me on how to do things, and I enjoyed that. So now we're gonna switch gears.
Okay.
I want to talk about your brand.
My brands. Okay.
Branding is so important nowadays. I see your brand on your shirt. I have mine
Yes.
on my shirt. And that's your brand. When people see that, they know that's you.
Right.
That is branding is so important. So how are you getting your brand out there?
So, I take my banner with me at every open house, every pop-up, every shop. It will be with me when I go to the wedding venues, and the wedding fairs. It goes with me. I have my chef jackets that have my logos on it with my name on it. My employees, they have the same shirt without the name. They have my brand. My car, I use it for marketing and business purposes. I have the magnetic decals and logos on it. So everywhere I go, they see my car, they see the chef to table. I have this giant QR code that says chef to table. They scan it, it goes straight to my Instagram. I have my business cards on it. I always, every conversation that I have, I'm always, plugging in my business. And a lot of the places that I frequent, they align with the purpose of my business, because I don't really go anywhere just to say I go anywhere. I use every opportunity as a networking opportunity, as an opportunity for growth. So most of the places that I go, I'm either making money there, I've made money there, I plan to make money there, or I'm figuring out how I can incorporate their product into my business. So I'm always plugging myself. And I always usually talk about my business when I meet new people, and they're just like, "Oh, hey, what do you do and stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm the owner of Chef to Table, and we do meal prep and catering, and we specialize in nutritious, healthy, alternative, affordable food and meal plans and catering. We specialize in local businesses and local farmers and incorporating fresh ingredients for customized, elegant experience and everything like that. And we're focused on nutrition, so that's my brand. We're focused on nutrition. We don't want to just put something on the plate just to fill you up. We are health conscious. We think about the ingredients that go in there. We think about where we're sourcing our ingredients from. We're thinking about how we can also help somebody else along the way. The supermarkets, they already have their money. You know what I'm saying? They already have their money. They're already making big businesses and stuff. And a lot of times they're cutting their costs because they're using a lot of products that are processed, that aren't good for you, that are probably made under the table. And FDA, we all know how they work. So, they don't really have the best interest at heart because they own big pharma. So a lot of the times we work with a lot of local farmers to make sure that, one, we're supporting our local businesses and our local community. We also spend a lot of time sourcing fresh ingredients at the height of the season, at the peak of the season. I have this calendar in my office that shows me what fruits and vegetables are in season right now. And then I devise the menu for the season based around the ingredients that I can get from the local market. Because if I keep my money low, if I keep the cost of goods low, then I can transfer that benefit onto my clients, which allows me to keep the cost low for them so that they can have fresh local ingredients and a really good customized meal at a reasonable, affordable price, instead of sitting here saying, "Oh, well, I have to hack up the prices because it's locally grown and all that other stuff." No, if I didn't have to pay a huge price, why would I have to try to tack that onto you? Now, granted, I do have a profit margin, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and tax you,
Yeah.
for something, because I want people to eat healthy, because the best medicine for everybody is what you put in your body. People are going here to the drugstores and getting all these things and these remedies and stuff, but the drugs are the ones that are keeping you sick. That's why it's called a drugstore, not a medicine store.
Yeah.
So so that's my brand. I just want to work with other local businesses. My friend Tisha, she actually took me to Nobility in Stone Oak, I think, over the weekend on
Yeah.
Saturday. And they have amazing, she's a woman-owned business, and she has amazing tea selections. So my friend's Tisha, she's been infusing, honeys and oils and everything with tea. And she has an event coming up next weekend at Nobility, to talk about her health and wellness business. But I was thinking about, okay, if I use these teas, how can I incorporate them, into making foams or into making desserts or sauces, and then I have a problem with sleeping at night. So I went and bought this tea that she has called Dreamscapes. And I think for the last 2 nights I've been drinking it, and I sleep so soundly, and it just helps me fall asleep, and it's natural and it's all organic, instead of sitting here trying to take like a Tylenol PM, or trying to sit here and take some
Right.
melatonin, which throws off your melatonin serotonin chemical balance. So I'm just so with my brand, we're just more cognitive about what we're doing in our community and what kind of food and product that we're giving to our customers. And then we're very professional, and we take our business, I take my business, and so do my employees. We take it very seriously. We want you to have a wonderful dining experience. You're not just a customer to us. All of my clients, I check in with them weekly. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Not just to see if the meal prepped. And I have clients who reach out to me and they're like, I was over here at this restaurant, and I was trying to figure out what I could eat that's still going to be within, my caloric intake, and I'm trying to meet my goals and stuff like that. Like, what do you think? And then I'll hop online and I'll see what their menu is. And I'm like, I think you should eat this or something like that. Like I have built a relationship, with my clientele, so that it's not just, hey, I'm dropping off the food or nothing like that. Because networking is more than just about passing out your business cards and, talking about the events and the meet and greet and stuff. I like to build relationships with my clientele and with a lot of my business partners, and people who I partner with and do business with, because those lasting relationships is going to build your business, as well as like your, just your social. There's a lot of things that I don't do, even though I'm 37. I don't go out. I don't go out to clubs. I don't go out to parties. I'm in the bed. I'm in the house. I'm in the bed actually every night by 8 o'clock. Like I was listening to you talk about Horizons and More, and how they have like late nights and stuff like that. And I don't do that. Even though I'm a single mom, I do have some nights where I'm free, but I'm still in the house.
Yeah.
I don't. So a lot of my relationships and a lot of the things that I do with other people, they are other entrepreneurs that I've built relationships with, in this business since for the 3 years that I've been here, and the longevity and the benefits of those relationships have really, you know, they've been wonderful.
Yeah, I'm listening to you and I see that little gleam in your eyes that you are passionate about your work and what you're doing. And you give that personal touch that people forgot about. They want to sell somebody something and they run out and say, okay, I'm done. They don't go back to follow up. You
Right.
like me, if you're on the show right now, I'll follow up with you later on today or
Yes, you
tomorrow,
do.
and I'll let you know how the show went. I'll give you some numbers and all this stuff, how everything went, because I do the same thing. I want that person touch. If I did something wrong, please let me know,
Right.
because that's the only way you're going to better yourself. And
Exactly.
you hit the nail right on the head when you said, I'm compassionate about people. They don't have to be my customer for life.
Right.
If I could get them for life, that's great. But I found a friendship, another entrepreneur that could spread your brand for you.
Right.
And that's the whole idea about it, is getting together and doing things. And I applaud you for what you just said.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I have a personal trainer that I've been working with for the last 3 years. And every time I, talk to a client and they're just trying to lose some weight, I'm like, hey, I have this personal trainer, who can come in and help you. Or if they're like, hey, I need, I'm feeling sick or something. I know a wellness coach. I know somebody who, sells organic products and juices and stuff like that with Juice Plus. And, every opportunity that I have to help another entrepreneur out, I definitely exercise that opportunity, because there's enough for everybody. And what I've noticed since I've moved here, and especially in this industry, is that there's caterers everywhere.
Yeah.
Everybody's a caterer. Everybody does barbecue. Everybody does soul food. Everybody does this and this, and everybody's just, they feel like they have to fight for their spot. They're like, I have to fight. I can't sit here and promote you because it's taking business away from me, when it's not. I've talked to a couple of other caterers, and a couple of other cooks in the area, and they've just been like, oh, uh, I'll reach out to them and I'm like, hey, I like your food. I like the picture that, you had. I like the reel that you did. Um, may I suggest something? And they'll be like, yeah, what is it? And then I'll give them my suggestion. I'm like, I think it would be better, or I think you could have reach a larger audience if you do this, or I think if you did this, or if you plated it like this, and maybe it would aesthetically it would be better. Because when you do things out of the kindness of your heart, you can never lose.
Amen.
Never. Because uh we're in the business of people. We are people. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? We are here to serve. We're people of service. We're here to serve other people. We're here to have a purpose, and our purpose are often found through other people. Now, if you're like closing yourself and putting up your gates and keeping people out, you're never going to experience your true potential and your true blessings, because you're blocking everything, because you have this negative, pessimistic mindset that everyone's trying to take what's yours, but what's meant for you is never going to go anywhere because that's yours. So I feel like with a lot of caterers and a lot of people in a lot of industries, if we network with people who are in our industry, we don't know what opportunities are going to come, what we can learn, because we can always learn from somebody who has more experience, or someone who does something different. I reached out to my friend Tatsney, who's in Alabama, where we just came from, and she owns Tickle Taste Buds. And I'll reach out to her and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about, making like a Jamaican dish. Can you help me out? Can you give me a recipe or something? Because she's Jamaican, or she has a catering company as well, so she'll send me a copy of her menu for an upcoming event. She'll be like, what do you think about the price, or what do you think about the menu, or what do you think about the layout? And we just, we talk and we network and stuff like that, because it's a beautiful thing. Miracles happen when you're amongst other people who want to see you win just as much as you want to see them win.
Yes, you girl. See, you a marketing tool right there. I'm gonna hire you. I'm gonna ask you two more. Well, this question I'm gonna ask you is I've been knowing you for a minute. It seems like I've been knowing you longer than
I
that,
know.
because the chemistry is there, talking and all that stuff, and you such a breath of fresh air to talk to.
Thank you.
I'm gonna put it out there. What can WSN Radio do for you? What can we do for
Oh,
you?
I guess just let people know about, my catering services and my website, and just let them know that I do meal prep. I'm always looking to help people with their nutritional needs, because I know that the options around here are very scarce. I want them to know that I'm in the business of helping them get to wherever they need to be, whether they're diabetics or whether they're just trying to eat, they don't have time, they have a large family. I cater to my client. So if you go to my website and you want something that you don't see, give me a call. I will work with you. I will customize a menu for you. I will customize a meal plan for you. I would do cooking classes. I do catering. I do private dinners. I do all kinds of things within your food service needs, because everything is fresh. And I feel like everybody should be able to afford to have healthy, affordable food options to them. So, just, I guess, just, promotion, um, maybe probably just tag me on some things, maybe just, have my website on your website, or whatever you like to do. I mean, these radio segments, they actually help as well. So every opportunity that I've been on here has been beneficial. And I just want to say thank you guys so much, for reaching out and everything. And Dr. Brooks, actually, she became a client because she heard you guys talk about my company. She was like, oh, I heard you were a private chef. So now she's my, a very loyal and dear client of mine, from the radio station, from you guys recommending me. So for that, I appreciate you guys. And, you guys have just been such a blessing to Chef to Table, and watching my vision grow and helping it grow into the brand that it is today. So, just continue to support me, and I continue to support you guys, and I just love it when, we come together, especially in our community.
Yes.
And just support each other, because in our community, that's hard. It's
It
really
is.
hard.
We both know it is. So let me see. Oh, look at you. You got me going past the time, but that's okay.
We always go past the time.
Yeah, we go past the time. That's all right. That's okay. Somebody asked me the other day, will you get in trouble? You go past time? I doubt it. Said, why not? I said, well, I kind of sort of run and own the radio station. So
Right.
I could pretty well just keep on going if I want, but
Right.
see, but that's the good thing about it. When you get chemistry going and you bouncing off each other, that's what makes it good because, no,
It's organic.
yep. No question is a stupid question because some people say, well, I got a question, but I think it's a dumb question. No, it's not.
Right.
No, it's not. Ask it. See, some people will start laughing in the room. And I remember I was out speaking somewhere and people started laughing when the guy said, I think it's a dumb question I'm getting ready to ask. You ask a question, I give an answer. And I said, for those of you out there laughing, remember when you didn't know the answer to this question? Remember that? It's funny now because you know the answer, but you laughing at somebody else who don't know the answer.
Right. And it's just, it's still about a maturity level. When I was growing up, I heard the only stupid question is the one that's not asked. And I'd rather look stupid than to be ignorant.
Yeah. Oh, amen to that. Look at you. Not only a chef, you're a philosopher too, huh?
But I'm telling you, look, okay, I'm a woman of many, many talents.
Yeah. All right. In closing, let everybody know how to get a hold of you and all that good stuff.
Okay, so you can reach me on my website. It is chef to table LLC.com. You can also give me a call or a text message at 210-570-7155. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. My handle is Chef to Table LLC. You can also send me an email at chef to table LLC at yahoo.com. I'm Chef Sarah Kim, and it's always wonderful talking to you, Ron. You really make my weeks,
We were going back and forth one day when I told you made my day. You said, no, you made my day. She's trying to top me.
You made my day infinity.
It is always nice having you on, and you keep on doing what you're doing. Like I said, God has a purpose, and you're doing good in the eyes of God and people in San Antonio, Texas. And I just say, just keep on doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing. And I'm going to look up your menus and I'm going to try to become a customer too.
Yes, I'm gonna try to see what my schedule looks like and drop off some samples for you guys next week. Because you guys missed it. Sandra was able to taste some because she had ordered some food, but I wish you were at that dinner at the Brooks's house. You missed a wonderful, wonderful meal.
You know what I was doing, right?
Working. Oh yes, you were doing the voting.
Yeah, I'm the election judge.
You were the electoral judge.
Yeah, so that's what I was doing all day. I was just like watching paint dry too, because it wasn't that many people coming in for 12 hours. I'm just sitting there, yeah, and I was saying, wow. So there was,
but you know what?
What's that?
Without volunteers like you, without people like you, our voices would never get heard. And our votes wouldn't count, and we wouldn't have officials there to make sure that we were being counted.
Yeah, you're right about that. Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
it's the small differences that make a big impact.
Yes, it is. So, all right, you take care of yourself. We're gonna get you back on again. This is not the last time.
Oh no, I look forward to the next time.
Okay. Let me see what's coming up next. I'm gonna hit you up in the summertime about summer meals.
Okay.
I'm gonna hit you up in the summertime. We'll wait till.
Okay, I'll definitely. By that time, I think I have a summer menu on my website on chef2tablellc.com. I have a summer menu that is up right now. If not, it's definitely on my website.
Okay.
On my Facebook and everything. But I already have my summer menu up.
Look at this. Look at this. See, great mind.
You're not. I'm ambitious. Ambitious.
You're not left-handed, are you?
No, I'm right-handed.
Okay, I'm left-handed. I just thought maybe we had good creative thinking going on there.
Almost.
Yeah. All right,
thank you for having me on the show.
You're so welcome. You take care, and I will call you shortly.
Yes, sir. Have a blessed day.
Okay. You too. Okay, bye.
Bye.